Hello, I am Save the Frogs founder, Dr. Kerry Kriger. This is a Save the Frogs grants discussion. And let's see, we have Mike Horton from the Save the Frogs board of directors here who assists with grant review. And as he has something coming up, um, I'm going to let him give some thoughts if he has any. But first, I'll say the plan was to have this a week ago and that we'd announce all the winners. That's not going to happen. We have announced all of the Save the Frogs Day grant winners. We have not announced and probably will not announce today the Amphibian Conservation Award winners or the travel grant winners. We did the Save the Frogs Day grants first because Save the Frogs Day is coming up April 28th. So those are of the highest priority. We received 39 or 40 applications, which is a lot more than we usually do. And the info, well, there's a lot of info to review. It's a lot of money being requested, almost $50,000. We want to make sure it gets used properly for the best good, the greatest good of amphibians and people. And I apologize for the delay in future years. I probably will have two discussions before or during the review process and not announce a date for this final discussion until we're ready. That being said, I do have, or we have plenty of things to go over. So I do hope that this session will be useful to people. Let's see. I think I'll just start. I'll let Mike talk in 1 second. I'll just say when I'm looking at all these things, I've got like two ends of the spectrum. Okay. I want to know everything about your project and I don't want to have any questions. As I made clear in a recent grants discussion, I want to know who you are, who your organization is, what you're going to do, why it's important, how you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, what good is going to come from it, when it's going to take place, etc. I want all these questions answered. And they're all in the grant application. The questions there tell you exactly what info we seek. Unfortunately, it doesn't come through so clearly in my mind much of the time, and I end up with a lot of questions. And then I have to think, is this money going to be used well? On the other end, I can tell that pretty much everybody who applies has the best intentions for amphibians, and I want to help people get. I want to help researchers and amphibian conservationists get experience and do the good things for amphibians. And hopefully, in doing that, their skills and their ability to write about grant projects improve. So that's what's going through my head. Mike Horton, how's it going?
It's going good. A lot of grants requests this year, which was good and bad. It took a lot of time. So a lot of good projects and a lot of good requesters, which I really like. The biggest shortfall I saw was a lack of specificity in terms of methodology, particularly people saying, we will survey for frogs. And that's it. And that's not enough for us to grant a grant. Now we can come back to you and say, can you give us your protocols or something? But in the future, what you really need to do is either lay out, like we're going to lay out our transects like this, and we're going to have survey stops so often. If it's going to work around the local weather, then say that. Or if you're following a strict protocol that's written out somewhere, then cite that. But you can't just say we're going to survey 5 times for frogs, which just doesn't tell us enough. So,
And also, yeah, so let me add to this because this takes me back to 2003 to 2007 when I was a PhD candidate doing a lot of field surveys in Australia. And I wrote about these. I published a lot of papers. I published more papers than the average PhD student publishes. And I take pride in the specificity of my publications. And I immediately thought when Mike mentioned that, I thought everyone should go read my publications, not all of them, or you can if you want. There's a lot of them, but if you go to Save the Frogs Academy, which all of you have access to, there's a course called Dr. Kerry Kriger's Publications, and in there, the two that came to my mind first off, there's one called It's published in Conservation Biology, and it's called something related to latitude. Okay, look for the latitude study I did, and I went up and down the east coast of Australia, and I put in all the thoughts that came into my head when I was choosing those survey locations and the timing and everything that I did. It's all explained in there. The other one is seasonality of chytrid that's in the Journal of Zoology. That was the most cited paper in Journal of Zoology for that year, I believe, or something to that effect. It still gets a lot of citations, and in both of those papers I go into extreme detail about why I chose my survey methodology. So I think that everyone who does surveys would benefit a lot from reading those two papers. The things that I saw are things like, we're going to do visual encounter surveys and we're going to do audio surveys, and maybe there's some citations of like Hayer 1995 or whatever book or method comes to my mind. But what I want to know is the basics, like how long's your transect? How many transects are you going to have? What time of day are you going to be out there? What time of year are you going to be out there? Things like that. Like, what precisely are you going to do when you walk out of your car or vehicle or lodge and you arrive at your site? What exactly is going to take place? That should be in there. And then we can tell what's going on, because the results and your conclusions are going to be directly related to how well your survey was done. And if your survey is not done too well, then your stats aren't going to be clear, and it's going to be hard to do your statistics, and it's going to be hard to draw conclusions. And all this is over top of the fact that the survey itself is not the conservation. Save the Frogs wants conservation action, amphibian protection. You're going to have to translate your science into action. So the science better be solid, and in your proposal, you better, as we have stated clearly throughout the grants page, you better have a good explanation of how you're going to translate that science into action, or how you're going to deliver those results to somebody who will, rather than just, we took a survey and now we know what's there. Because you know what's there now, but even to go to the next step and determining like how to deal with the threats of the amphibians, or what the threats are, that's a different thing. Then you have to survey for the threats, and there's a whole lot more work to be done. So even though it may be a good start for knowing about those amphibians, we require a lot of info related to that to know it's going to be a good project.
Kerry, can I build on that for just a moment?
Sure.
Because I think that's a really important point. One of the things that we really are loath to do is fund research for the sake of research, just so that you can go out and do a research project. And what we really are looking for is what's going to be a practical result of this. And you can have a great research project, but what's going to really sell it is the result of this project, or the result of gathering this information and conducting this research, going to result in some sort of a change in management, change in attitudes, a change in policy, something. Is it going to lay the groundwork for future restoration work? So to draw that connection is really important.
Thanks, Mike. Before you are taken away for a while, do you have anything else to add about your thoughts on anything that you saw while reviewing?
Not right now, but I do have to step away for about 5 minutes, and then I'll be back. So,
all right, thanks.
Kerry, can I just add a thought or two?
Sure, you can add plenty of thoughts. Yeah.
Just real quick. So I agree with everything you and Mike said about methodologies and as much detail as possible. Also, if you're citing a study from 1995, or please don't assume that we all know exactly what is in that methodology that you're citing. Either give us a link to it, give us an excerpt from it, give us something, because I've got 40 grants to read through. I don't want to read through 40 grants and go Google search trying to find these old studies to see what you're telling me. I want what you're telling me to be included in your proposal, if that makes sense. And secondly, and I'm fully aware English is not everyone's first language. I live in Costa Rica. Spanish is not my primary language. It's barely even a secondary language for me. I struggle with it daily. So that is fine. But what I've noticed, I think more this year than any other year, it appears to me that people are using AI to write some of their descriptions and things, because instead of just giving me a bullet point step by step, I'm getting paragraphs of description that do not sound like they were written by somebody from India or from they sound like they were written by AI. And that's fine if it's really clear. It's a lot to read through if every section of the application kind of repeats the same flowery language, and I have to dig through that to find the meat of it, to find the important information in that. So you give me 4 paragraphs that possibly were written by AI, but only 1 paragraph of that information is really important to the proposal, if that makes sense. Again, I appreciate, I'm glad it's easy to read, but I would rather see something in broken English that gets right to the point than 4 paragraphs of flowery, perfect English that I have to wade through and pull out the relevant parts.
John, I have thoughts on that, but I think the summary is be concise.
Yes.
Look, I just said everything in 2 words. I was concise. Be concise. Now I'll go into a little bit more detail on my thoughts on this, but whatever you write, be concise. Now I'm thinking the opposite. I'm like, why don't some of these people use AI? So I don't think I saw too much AI. I use a lot of AI. I know what a lot of it looks like. One of you, not who's on today, but someone was communicating with me via email, and I could tell like these are just like you got AI answers to write me, and I don't even know if you're a real person anymore. Okay, so whatever you do with AI, make sure it's good. The only reason to use AI other than speed is to get something that's really good. Last night, it took me a few hours. I created 39 blog posts out of all of your applications. Okay. Why is it not 40? Because one appeared to be a duplicate. Okay. Now I did that with AI, but I still had to, I gave it my prompt and I could tell what it didn't do well. And then I had to tell it, you can tell it, I only want 1 paragraph. Make this 50 words, make this no more than 300 characters. You can tell it to be concise, or I need more info. Okay. And it goes through a few rounds of you give a prompt, it gives an output, you tell it how to make it a little bit better. Okay. It gives an output, you make it a little bit better in each time. And then my prompt went from something that was like this to something like that. And then I was just pasting it in each time. This big prompt that had tons of instructions that 90% of the time it was putting out perfectly written outputs. Okay. But I'm going to take it back a step to what John was saying. I didn't think I saw much AI. What I saw was people, not all of you, some of you, it's not just you all, it's society in general. Most people are not amazing writers. And I think it's incredibly important, especially in science. Most of you are scientists, not all of you, but in science, writing is exceptionally important. Your ability to write. How do you improve your ability to write? You write a lot, you read a lot. Okay, that's pretty much it. You could take a course on writing. I guess I did in school, but in general, my writing skills I studied mechanical engineering, and that's the kind of writing that I'm probably best at, better than creative writing, is just what's going on here. Give me the facts. Okay. Put the facts on the page. So a lot of scientific writing, get good at writing. And if you're not good at English, that's fine. What I'm thinking, John, I know John and Mike, they're like, yeah, I don't care if your English isn't too good. That's fine. But the years are going by, technology is improving. Why don't you just write your best writing in your native language and put it into Google Translate and translate it so that the structure is there, because your grammar is different than are all your thoughts on the page the way that they should be on the page. That can be done in any language, and then you just translate it. You read over the English and make sure that you agree with the translation, clean up anything that went missing. And I bet that if you did that, start with your language, write really well, translate it to English, and then give it to us, that's probably going to come out looking good. I can also tell things about people's writings by, are they using paragraph breaks? Do they have one thought in one paragraph and another thought in another paragraph? Or is it all just a big run on mishmash of things? Okay, that doesn't come down to it being a second language. That just comes down to you not being clear in your thought process. So let's see. John, back to you. Anything on that or anything else you want to mention?
No, I think you said it really well. And maybe what I'm seeing, to be fair, is part of our just the layout of our applications in Airtable. But for example, I'm seeing like the executive summary is 5 paragraphs long, and then the about you section is 5 paragraphs long, and then
Yeah.
the, you know,
We
over
put,
whatever it is 5 paragraphs long. And I mean, by the time I read through all that, I haven't even gotten to what is your project.
yeah,
So,
we should put
and like I
limits.
said,
We should just say, look, because that also comes down to, I've never told anyone what an executive summary is. I just assume that people know that, because the executive summary, in my experience, I don't write them anymore because I just write like web pages, and web pages don't really have executive summaries. But in, that's your abstract in scientific language. That's your report for the corporation or whatever. There's always like, just give me everything summed up into like 1 or 2 paragraphs. That's the executive summary. We didn't state that. So we do these each year, and we learn more about what to ask for from you all so that we get the information we want. But be concise in all those sections. Give us the info. Don't give us anything else. When like one example today, I saw beneficiaries, people, like what people are benefiting. And then it was like a full paragraph about the importance of amphibians. Like, I know amphibians are important. What people? Like, give me the name of the school or the name of the village, or who, like, get to the point. Back to you, John.
oh, it's fine. I think I'm done. I just want to summarize it with a positive note. There were some fantastic applications. In fact, there were very few just poor applications. I think more than any other year, the majority of the applications were very good. It's just that when I've got 40 to go through, I need to get right to the point. And if I'm spending 15 minutes and I still haven't figured out what your project is, that's a problem, because I've got 39 more projects to look at. So again, keep it concise. You're doing some great work out there. There's some great proposals. Make sure that we see that and we don't gloss over it because there's too much fluff in the application.
Thanks. And I'm going to agree with that. And you'll see when I show you these blog posts that I created with the help of ChatGPT, by giving it all your info. I grabbed out all your info and I put it into the ChatGPT with a very thorough prompt on what I want done, and everything comes out. It sounds like a great project. Everyone's got good stuff in their projects. It's just how you communicate it. And I want to put this into a larger context of why we do this. Like, why are we here right now? Who out there has applied for other grant applications, and what access to the grantors did you have? Some of them will have 1 or 2 events beforehand. I like that. You should show up with them. But usually I'm just guessing. Okay. I haven't sat on too many grant review boards. Mike has. But you're not getting this level. Like, even this year, there's so many of these that I kind of have to give up my desire to assist every person with improving their grant proposal and clarifying for me and communicating back and forth them to get all the details. Because usually in other organizations, it's usually probably someone's going to look at your proposal for 1 minute, 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. I don't know, but it's just a yes or no. It's something wasn't there, you done. And that's it. So know that, like, we're here in part because I want to educate you. That's why we have a full course, and we've got all these videos that we've been doing for years on grants discussions. And I know it's a lot to look at it, and it's a lot of time, but I was thinking about it today. Say you apply for $2,000 a year. I mean, and this isn't just for Save the Frogs. I want you to win grants everywhere. The more grants you win elsewhere, the less money you need to ask from Save the Frogs. Imagine you do this every quarter. Okay, every 3 months you submit a grant proposal for $2,000, or maybe one day they become $20,000, or maybe one day you're a PI. Okay, I don't even know what it stands for, the professional investigator on a team, and you apply for the NSF grant for $200,000. There's tons of money at stake for years and years and decades if you're in this. So the better you get at this, then the more money and the more successful your research and your projects are going to be. Mike.
Yeah, so I'd like to sort of reiterate something that Kerry just said. I have sat on a lot of grant review teams, and I've reviewed thousands of grants. And I can tell you, the biggest mistake people make is they write the project that they want to do, not the project that will meet the requirements of the grant. Usually when there's a grant proposal, and this goes for any grant you apply for, this would serve you well, is go through, and usually the request for the proposals identifies 3 or 4 or 5 main things they're looking for. Write those down, and you start your proposal with those 5 things. You make sure that you're addressing those things that they say that they're looking for. Don't do what you always write when you write up this project and say, well, that meets those 5 things. They'll just have to figure that out, because I'm not gonna, and Kerry's right. This is a lot more attention than in most grant programs. When I did it for the government, there was no opportunity to provide additional information. You didn't provide the right information, you were just tossed out. That was one of the ways we filtered things. So, stay focused on what they're asking for and make sure that you answer those. And it's fine even to have your regular proposal have a section that addresses each of the things that they say they're specifically looking at, and how your project meets or addresses those factors. So.
All right, thank you. Okay, before we continue talking, let's reiterate, we're all here because we love amphibians. You guys have submitted great projects. We want them in general to be a bit more clear so that it's easier for us to get to yes, and to save ourselves time, which can be dedicated to other amphibian projects, including publishing and communicating your work. Know that these do take tons of time for us, not just a review process, but communicating with you all, getting what we need, sending the money. Even that takes a lot of time. Getting money to lots of different countries in the world, to lots of different types of bank accounts, and all that is a whole lot of time. So help us by submitting good grant proposals that, as I've said before, it's not just for us. Take that excellent writing that you've done and put it up on your website, put it up on your social media, turn it into your next application to another organization that would fund a similar project. All right, thank you, Jessica. All right, so before we continue talking, let's just right now give everyone out there a chance to ask questions or say whatever's on your mind. Be concise, please. I sent out an email. I'm assuming most of you got it. If not, check your email. And I did come up with a agenda. We don't have to get to all that stuff, but those are things we can discuss. But right now, anyone, if you want to unmute yourself or just chat stuff in, go ahead and do that. Okay, there's a request for good proposals. All right, that's a good idea. That's something I've never done, and I could even look through some of my proposals from the past. I don't apply for grant application. I don't apply for grants too often, but I have in the past, and some of those have won. So I could look up some of those winning proposals of my own and put those up there so that you can see them. And we could choose a couple of these that we did think are excellent proposals. And if we have the applicant's permission, then we could make it a bit more public so you could look at it. Anuradha. I can't hear you.
Thank you so much. I think this is really very valuable for all of us. And thank you so much once again for supporting us and helping us to build up our skills and also to understand what exactly would benefit as a project. So we are really excited to work on the project for this year and celebrate the event with a lot of enthusiasm. So thank you so much for addressing the chat message which I had written. So it would really be helpful if also you could highlight, though it would take a lot of time at your end, and it might be difficult for people who are so busy, like especially all your team members. But it would really help us if all the people who have been awarded the grant. So in that, but in their proposal also, if you could just highlight what was the parts of their proposal and which part they were lacking a little bit, like something was missing, either the content was not like very clear or the writing skills needed more improvement. So that would help us in general also to improve on both the content, the outcomes of the project, and definitely make us even more expert in addressing the concerns and like meeting the expectations, so that all of us come up with those outcomes which are the purpose of the project, and we can actually contribute a lot at the ground level also on a continuous basis, not just randomly. Only when the event comes we do something and then we forget about it. So we would like to remain as a consistent effort. So your advice on this would be really helpful, and thank you so much once again. It's a real joy to be a part of this community. Thank you once again.
Kerry, you're muted.
All right, I said thank you. And then I remembered, hey, we've gone like 32 minutes and we haven't even brought up budgets, which is usually a big part of what we talk about, because that budget section, it's usually I give you a chance to write something and then a chance to upload a spreadsheet or any kind of file related budget. And usually we get like that much writing, and then we get a spreadsheet that's real short. And they're so, it is a short thing, but the budget goes so far in either helping or hurting your grant. And I know that we are much more lenient than an average organization. Like, I want your budget to be perfect. I don't want anything. I don't want to have to guess anything. And yet I usually I just get things that are like, they're just vague and it's hard to tell what the money's going for. And yeah, I won't go into that because we've spoken so much about budgets in the past. I encourage you to go back to some of those old discussions. I also, this year, for the first time ever, I've been meaning to do it for a long time, but I made a lesson in there all about budgets and how to create a budget spreadsheet in what I consider to be a proper manner. So I know that some of you, when I received your budget, before anyone else could review it, I just immediately wrote you back because I could see, I get an email with the grant info in it. I can just see it right when it comes. Look at the budget. This is not going to be good enough. I wrote you and said, go watch this lesson, create a budget spreadsheet. A lot of you did that. Always put a lot of thought into your budget and making sure that it's really good. All right, let's see.
Kerry, real quick, Can I just add to the budget thing?
Sure can.
I've said this before, a previous year or in one of our previous discussions, but remember that we have a limited pool of money that we are able to grant, and we want to grant as many projects as possible, as many good projects as possible. So, if your true budget comes out to, let's just use an example, $670, please don't pad that number to 750 because our limit for Save the Frogs Day grants is 750. I would much rather grant 11 grants of $670 than 10 grants of $750, for example. But more importantly, I want to grant the actual dollar value. And so if 9 out of 10 grants come in at exactly our limit, I want your budget to tell me why that is. And again, you know, I would much rather see a proposal for 670 with a detailed budget than a proposal for 750 where there's a few things just kind of thrown in there to round it up to that total. And it sounds like a very little amount of money, $80, but if 10 people do that, that's an entire additional grant that we could fund if you don't round up that little bit of money. So it's just a pet peeve of mine, I think.
I don't think it's a pet peeve. I think it's a matter of perception. Don't allow us to perceive that you're guessing your prices, because we want to send you money to do a good project. We want to know that the money we're sending you is what's actually needed. So if I see something, especially from a different country, and like the bus fares are $15, what are the chances that the bus fares are actually $15? Like it would have come from, you know, it would have been 835 tucka or whatever. You contacted the bus agency, you know how much the bus costs, or you take a really close guess and then you use a converter. I use xe.com and give it to us in the dollars without, don't put it at 15 because I'll just assume that was just a wild guess. And that's the same basic thing of if the grant limit is $750 and you say that you need $750, like how did your line items in your invoice in your budget just precisely come up to $750? It's a matter of perception.
Yeah. And I will just add one more thing. I know in many cases your actual costs are more than $750, and you're asking us for that because that's our limit. That's great. But please let's say, for example, your entire Save the Frogs Day budget or your project, whatever it is going to be $1,200, the equivalent of $1,200. Please explain to us, great, you're asking us for $750. Please tell us where the rest of the money is going to come from, how that's going to be funded. Please assure us that the project will go on. You know, your $2,000 project is going to happen, you know, with our $750 donation. I know I'm rambling. Don't round it to an exact number, but if 750 is less than your total amount, make sure that's clear, and make sure it's clear where the rest of the money will come from, whether it's personal funds, whether it's from the school, whether it's from another grant, whatever it is.
And we have there's a question in there about context. What is the context of this project for which you're asking money in the greater scheme of things? So there's a place to write about that. But also in the budget, as I've said in my budget video, I usually have a column like, you need $300 for something, okay, $301.32, whatever. And you say you're asking for 300, you're asking for 200 from Save the Frogs. Maybe you already got money from another organization, the other $100. Then there's a column in your budget spreadsheets that we know, oh, you've already gotten money for that, okay? And if needed, you could, yeah, I don't know, maybe John, we need maybe we need to get more specific, like, and ask explicitly, if the money you're requesting here is not covering the entire project, what's your plan for that? But hey, we don't have that there, but you have it in your head in the future. Let grantors know if you're, you know, they may want to know what's going to happen if your project gets some funds, but you need more total funds. So I guess I'm not clear on this. Maybe right now that's because we need to think about exactly how to phrase this for you. But now you all know this is the kind of thing grantors think about. So keep that in mind. John, back to you.
It's fine. I think I've rambled enough. Okay. I just wanted to make those couple of points.
All right, good. We have rambled. We could take a transcript of this, put it into AI and say, write this in a real concise manner so that everyone can understand it. Maybe we'll do that in the future. Let's look at some of these questions.
Especially John's section. Make sure you chop it up and make it
Well,
more
I got
concise.
rambly too. It's because all these things, they need to get like, we encountered this. Here's what happens. We encountered the issue once. We're not sure what to do. Twice, we're not sure. 3 times, we're starting to figure out what to do. And then we get it figured out. Okay. Everything's got to go through this. Just like when you're writing grant proposals, every time you write one, make it a little bit better. Every time you're writing about your project, make it a little more clear. Let me look through some of these questions here. Weird. Zoom changed things up and it's hard to see what's going on now.
Well, I'm going to start in on Megan's question because I just saw it.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Any of you, if you see questions, I need to look through
right.
these. So go.
And that's a really good one. Is, you know, how do you describe your survey methodology when your survey methodology isn't set yet? I would recommend 2 things. I would recommend, 1, you lay out what you do know. Like maybe you do know you're going to do transects. Okay, you know, at least provide that information. And then you also know what makes sense when you're doing a survey, setting up a survey, you know, the principles that you use. And so lay out those principles. In the end, what you can say is, you know, specify that, however, your methodology is not due until a certain time. And then say, you know, we'll lay out the survey protocols according to these principles. And then in the end, we will present you with our final protocols so that you can approve them, something like that.
Alternatively, you just have to realize that this grant proposal is for us and your uni timeline is unrelated to us. And maybe it comes down to going and talking with your supervisor, which hopefully you have, and hopefully they have time to talk to you and saying, hey, this thing's due now. Let's get this figured out right now.
Or even in just a general sense, survey transects are being planned based on X, Y, and Z, and final methodology will be approved by my advisor, supervisor. Final methodology will follow XYZ protocol, whatever it is. So even if you don't know the exact number, the exact location, the exact, give us as much as you have in as much detail as you have, but again, be concise.
Yeah, and know when the you know, when are the decisions due. If it's a month out, then you could say, you know, feel free to contact me, you know, when you are reviewing this for further updates. And also make up for it if you lack info in this regard, make up for it by being very clear on how this project is going to help everything else. All right, let's see. Let me just, because let's see, we've got about 20 minutes left, and I'm going to review this agenda for everybody so that if anyone wants to cover or wants me to cover one of these things, then we can do that. So here are the things that I thought of when I was kind of a little, as I said, we're not ready for the original goal was to announce the winners. And I thought, oh, maybe I should cancel this event. Maybe I'll have nothing to talk about. Obviously, that's not the case. Here's some of the things that I came up with. We had thoughts from John and Mike. We got that. Thank you. We will give Save the Frogs Egg grant recipients. Everyone who applied for a Save the Frogs Egg grant has received a response other than the one person I've seen who put their Save the Frogs Egg grant request inside of an amphibian conservation award application, which was not a good idea. But everyone else has received their decision. We will give Save the Frogs Egg grant recipients the opportunity to tell everyone about their event plans. Let's just do that right now. Is there anyone else? Sorry, is there anyone out there who won a Save the Frogs Egg grant and wants to just tell us, summarize, be concise, tell us what you're going to do, who's involved, what's going to happen? All right, we've got Tom Odeo. Did you win a Save the Frogs Egg grant? I can't recall.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm good.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you once again.
Yeah, thank you. I believe you gave a, presentation for Save the Frogs Africa a month or two ago. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, everyone
Yep.
out there, we'll have that video up there if it's not yet. Otherwise, check out the savethefrogs.com/Africa page. And any day we'll have these a limited edition Save the Frogs Africa shirts ready. Tom,
Yeah, they look
what's your
good.
question?
I plan to get one for my three for my team at least.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think I'm the person you are talking about.
Oh, I was
I
not
think-
talking about you. No, it was not, but maybe you have done that. So,
I didn't get the Save the Frog Day grant, although my grant, my application, my Save Amphibian Conservation application, my team and I, we applied around for the two events to converge in that one event ends. Our activity for amphibian conservation grant coincides with the Save the Frog Day. That's on 28th of April.
yeah.
But we having one of the challenges. I think one of my team is here. We had planned to do the event in a school, but unfortunately, in Kenya currently the school are closed.
Okay.
And we were requesting if it's possible we push the event for our case.
Just send me an email. What I would say is, hey, if you can't do Save the Frogs Day event, you can't do a Save the Frogs Day event, but eventually the schools are going to reopen. So
Yes.
whether that's in August or whatever, and whether it goes under the name of the Save the Frogs Day event or just a Save the Frogs educational event, that is fine. But put it in an email. If any significant application, just email me and I'll put a note in the application.
Okay, sure. We plan to hold the event in early May. That is.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So I think one of my team is here. That's Jacinta Chenge. She might have
welcome,
something to say later.
Okay.
But thank you for the session so far.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone out there, specifically anyone who won a Save the Frogs Day grant? Let's get Anurada back up here. Hello.
Hi, Kerry.
Oh, okay. Ahmed. Anurada, you'll be next. Ahmed,
Yes.
how's it going?
It's good. We are celebrating this Frog Day for the first time in Pakistan.
Okay. Let me ask you
And,
something. Let me just cut you off, because as any of you who applied for grants have a high chance of knowing, I repeat myself over and over and over related to the name of the day. And I just heard Frog Day, which could be any other frog day, of which there are numerous. So which frog day are you referring to?
Save the Frogs Day.
Thank you. All right, continue.
Okay, so this time we are focusing on two endemic species. One of them is endemic to Pakistan and India only. It's Nanorana vicina, and the other one is only the endemic species of Pakistan, the Alopas arensis. So I have planned two events. The first one is a seminar which is going to be held in Arid University on 26th of April. Maybe we have to change the day, but till date it's confirmed. And we are having Dr. Amail from China, who is also the member of IUCN Species Survival Commission, to speak on that day. And the next day we are having a habitat field day in Mari Tehsil, which is part of Mari Kotli Satya Kahota National Park, where these two endemic species have most of their habitat. So on that day, we will raise awareness about these frog species among the local community, with a focus among raising their conservation efforts among local people of the Mari. and the students, the participants along with us will have a chance to explore the habitat of these frogs. So these are our aims, and this is my planning, along with, as you know, Dr. Muhammad Reis, who will assist me on this whole project. Thank you.
Kerry, you're muted again.
Okay, all right. Well, that could explain Anuradha did not unmute herself because she couldn't hear that I was saying, Anuradha, if you're out there.
Yes, I have, I think.
Sorry, would you like me to speak right now?
If you would like to tell us what your
After
plans are for Save the Frogs Day, and be concise because we only have about 12 minutes left. So just a quick
Yeah,
summary
sure.
of what's going to take place.
Yes. Save the Frog Day event we are celebrating for a week-long event, and it will be held in 2 different states also. So we are involving at least 3 districts, around 10 schools and colleges to be part of this event. One in Uttar Pradesh, one state is Uttar Pradesh, the second state is in Andhra Pradesh, and we have a lot of awareness and advocacy activities planned. So in awareness, we'll be doing a presentation in these schools wherein we will share about the threats, the importance and the relevance of this day. And as action, we will be creating frog ponds in some of the schools and colleges. That will be a part of creating an ecosystem and helping the students to actually understand what kind of ecosystem can be helpful for the frogs to survive. And secondly, we'll be advising and helping them to set up frog tables, basically to help the community also understand the importance of frog and why there is a need to conserve them. So along with this, we will be having a lot of other interesting creative activities, engaging both the urban and the rural students into it. And we have some of our research scholars team who will be sharing very valuable information about the local species. And we will encourage the students to do a frog watch during the rainy season that will happen from July to September. So even after the event, we will try to see that we are able to keep that follow up with these schools and encourage the students to actually observe the local species if they see any frogs around them. So the whole event will be very action packed, and we have 2 Instagram live also planned on 28th and on 3rd of May, where we would be very happy if any of you team members, if Kerry or Michael, anybody, Instagram live, where we will be sharing about the importance of frogs. And we have already started doing the live on the frogs. So the last Instagram live we had last Friday on 5th of April. We have already started talking about Save the Frogs Day. You can visit our Instagram page and you can hear the little bit about that. So this is in just a short of what we are doing. There are a lot of other things in concept. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good luck on your events. The May 3rd date, I may be able to make as long as it's early morning or late night your time, meaning that I would be awake during that. Let's see, maybe Sarbani, who's going to speak, could join in on one of those as well. Sarbani's in Calcutta. Namaste, Sarbani.
Namaste. Am I audible?
You are.
Thank you. Namaste to you and hi to all the participants who are here. In short, I would like to tell what I have planned for this year. Like we are doing this for last couple of years, and we have created a kind of talk about the frogs because the schools know it, what we do. The colleges, they are approaching to us, like they are asking what is our plan for this year. So that's the thing we wanted to start, and it has started. And this year we have plan to do an inter-college oral presentation competition, which will be at Srirampur College. That's a bit outskirt of Kolkata. My plan is to involve the colleges which are not specifically in Kolkata, because we are planning to spread the messages. And my topic for the day is, whatever we have chosen is like what you can do to save the amphibians, small steps at locally, what you can do for saving the frogs. Like Kolkata outskirts, there will be lots of ponds, wetlands, and students should think about the frog breeding behavior and everything, so that they can take small steps, and which will adapt to the global good health of the amphibians. And we have another competition, like best slogan of the day, a slogan competition. And with the slogans decorated on the paper, all the students will have a short rally around the campus, and there are lots of shops and householdings, and there will be talk about the rally, and we will hand out kind of uh, small write-ups on amphibians. So that will be in Bengali and English both, vernacular and English both. That with this, we are planning to spread the knowledge and awareness about amphibians, why we are doing this, and what is our plan. Like next year, what I did after the college competition was over, I involved the students to take the flag, and they started doing their awareness campaigns on their own. They involved a lot of local schools, local colleges, students, teachers, mass, and that was a wonderful experience we had, all the students, because they took the responsibilities. They created all the things. They created the flyers. They created everything. So this year we also have a plan to include all the students who will be participating in our competition, and let's see what we can do for the amphibians. Thank you, Kerry.
All right, thank you, Sarbani. And a lot of you are creating printed materials or digital materials, educational materials. Let's make sure that when we get a page up about your project, that we get those up there. Okay, so when you see it, when I say, hey, here's the URL about your project, if it's not up there, then let me know and say, hey, here's this cool PDF we created about the frogs of Calcutta. Can you put that up there so that other people can make use of those? All right. Time is running out. If you have something to say, let's even just open this up to anyone. Any questions at this point? If you would like to speak, then unmute yourself. Okay, good. Let's see. Other stuff on the agenda was or includes.
Gary, I just have one question regarding this.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so we are already in the process of designing the IEC material, which we had already committed in the project. So the best way to share with you would be through the email, the designs, the soft copy of the designs for your
Yeah,
approval.
ideally we'd
guidance.
have some kind of shared folders, but I don't, or some kind of system. Just don't overwhelm me with like one email one day and another email another day. Like get all your graphic design stuff into one email, and you don't even have to attach it. Like here's a 5 megabyte file. Here's a 7 megabyte file. You can have a folder with your own cloud storage service, Dropbox, Google Drive. I don't like Google Drive, but whatever you use, and just send me the link. Hey, all our stuff is in this folder. Then I can just download it into your project folder and not be overwhelmed. So just be concise, keep it all together. Welcome.
Thank you.
Professor Sharma. Professor Sharma, how's it going? I can't hear you if you're speaking. It looks like your sound hasn't even come on. So feel free to chat in. Hello. Professor Sharma's been holding Save the Frogs Day event since at least 2011, a long time. Here comes some sound, it looks like. Hi. Unmute yourself. I cannot hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Is
Hi.
it-
Now I can
Hi.
hear you. Namaste.
Is it clear now?
It is clear.
Yeah, great, great. Thanks, Dr. Kerry. We are seeing each other after a long period of time.
Yes. Are you in Rajasthan?
Yeah, I'm in Ajmer, Rajasthan. Same place.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How's it going there? And do you have any advice for all these people out here who may be preparing to hold Save the Frogs Day or other Save the Frogs educational events, as you have held many over the years?
See, all the regular events which I organized in the last few years since we incepted this program, they are following it. Yeah. So I am regularly going in the schools and those places where I have been doing these programs, and they are doing, means they are very cautious. And one more link that has been established, I say that frogs are not only important for the nature because they maintain a good balance between the insect pest and the other creatures, but also provide food to the next chains like the snakes and the birds, etc. So frogs are very important for this world, and we'll have to save. And I am thankful to Dr. Kerry Kriger, who has taken this initiative on this very simple taxa. Most people, they are going for the big cats and other thing, but I am regularly doing Dr. Kerry. But after my superannuation, I had so many other government assignments, other things. But I am regularly doing the Save the Frog event regularly.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Now, I just feel inspired because you're in Rajasthan, and I know that we've played some Rajasthani mun before, and since we're closing out on this thing, I'm just gonna play some Rajasthani mun. All right, little Rajasthani folk tune there.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I remember the tabla, small tabla we played at Anasagar.
Professor Sharma accompanied me with some drum beats during the Save the Frogs World Summit that Sarbani organized. All right, everyone out there, I'll say a chance for a final question or maybe two, but we're gonna bring this to a close shortly, and then I will determine if anyone wants to stay on. Let me just read off the rest of this agenda because we didn't get to some things, and then we can determine what to be done about that. I said we'll give all applicants the chance to review and edit the project summary we've created out of their application. Now, I was thinking to do that if we had nothing else to talk about. I think I'm going to create some kind of automation to send each of you the summary that I created about your project, and then you can review and edit it, change anything needed. Grant winners who are awaiting funds and need graphic design approval. That means you're ready to have your stuff approved. I know some of you emailed me and I have not responded. We can do that together right now if you want to do that. And also, I said we can take a deep dive into any applications that await a decision. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you're out there and you haven't gotten a decision and you're willing to be here in front of a bunch of people and have me look through your application, just give you the thoughts off the top of my head about what I'm seeing in there, then we could potentially do that. Though I may cut this call off and just so I get a video of this and it doesn't come too long, and make that something separate. So if anyone has any thoughts on those things, do you want to go over your graphic design right now in front of a bunch of people? Do you want to have your application reviewed right now in front of a bunch of people? If not, that's perfectly fine. We'll just end this, but you have a chance to get that right now.
Kerry, I'm
All right,
afraid I'm going to have
Mike.
to get off.
Thank you so much.
All right. It's good seeing everybody. Take care.
All right. It sounds like that's it for everybody, or for this session right now. I hope everyone got a lot out of this. Apologies again for the delay in reviewing some of these, but we will get to you ASAP. I'll get to your graphic design materials ASAP. And if you have sent in your requests for having the money sent because you won a grant and everything's ready to go, I'll work on getting those transfers, which unfortunately to certain countries are just difficult to deal with, and then sometimes I just take a lot of time trying it out with different banks and transfer services before it works. Tom.
Why don't you review mine? If
Okay. All right. Let's
yeah,
let's
could
do
also be
this.
fine if
All right. Let me do Pearl's first because Pearl requested this. Is Pearl still on? Okay. All right. I've never done this before.
Hi.
Hi. Let's see what's going on here and how long. I guess there's I don't know if how thorough I'll get or if this will be like a fast look like sometimes I do. Just I'm gonna look through fast. But let's see what happens. Let me prepare my screen here. Okay, so this is a travel grant. All right, so here we go. All right, can you see this?
I've actually started today my data collection.
Sorry, I'm not sure if you were talking to me or what, but let's we're gonna review Pearl's first, and then we'll take a look at yours. Okay. Can everyone see this? And Pearl, are you out there?
I am here. I just have myself muted. I was at a boo and I'm in the same room as our ambassador, American Crow.
Okay. You can see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, all right. So this is what usually I open up the Airtable, all the you guys apply, it comes into Airtable, and then I'll open up the record, and this is the stuff that I see or the whatever reviewer is going to see. Okay, so travel grant, decision pending, amount requested 536. Hey, good. It's not like 750 just out of nowhere. It's a number that probably comes from different line items in an invoice. When's it going to start? Okay, it's going to start in April and end in August. Organization info. So right now, boom, how long did it take me to tell that this is well written? It took less than like 2 seconds, literally less than 2 seconds, and I can tell that this is well written. Not even looking at the content, but just looking at it, it's like there's spaces after the periods, there's punctuation, there's number 1, number 2, number 3. I can just tell it's like written like I expect the English language to look like when it's correctly written. So that's not even saying anything about the content of it, but at least that's a good start right there. Okay, as opposed to sometimes it's like a jumbled mash of stuff, and I'm like, ah. All right. Okay, my journey so far. So this is organization info, and I'm not seeing much about the organization as opposed to there's also an about you. Okay, so I would expect this about you. So again, now we're back to content versus just like grammar and layout and stuff. But about you, I want to know more. This doesn't seem to say too much about you. I don't know. Like I have a master's in this. I went to this university. I've been doing amphibian stuff for 7 years. These are some of my projects. But again, I'm just looking at this super fast. But this organization info, I'm assuming that you would be related to an organization unless you're applying as an individual, which you may be, and I assume I'll see that later. Or organization name, okay, it's just an individual, that's fine. All right, which is fine if you're from the USA, which you are. We can only give grant money to individuals if they're in the USA. Outside the USA, it's got to be an organization. Okay, so organization info is kind of about you. All right, so basically, I just look at these fast. I don't have the time to go into like every detail of it, but I can tell different stuff. You've been working for 12 years, you're a master's student, you've done stuff with birds and bats, and so basically, I'm just getting like overall, like this person has biological experience. Check. Okay, check. Move on. All right, organizational URL. All right, that's probably why I think I put a note. Where's the URL? But maybe that was on a different thing. If you have a personal website, I'd put it there. If you don't have a website, my question being a professional website developer is why don't you have a website? Even if it's not, even if it's just like, you know, myname.wordpress.com or something like that. Get a website because it's always, for me, and hey, I'm a professional website developer. I make websites about all the important, many of the important projects in my life because I assume that the website's going to help me. And for me, if I go to a website and it's got info there, that's like trust, check, this is real. Okay, so I do encourage you to get your stuff up there, even if you're not an organization. Project title, okay, conservation assessment of the endangered species, Eleutherodactylus lentus, the mute key. All right. All right, project team led by me. Okay, executive summary. Let's see how long it is. Hey, 2 paragraphs. That's what I said before. An executive summary should be 1 or 2 paragraphs. All right, so we should really be able to tell pretty much the gist of everything just by reading this. So I'd say, for me, if there's one thing that I really need to read, it's the executive summary. Project team led by me is dedicated to the study of Eleutherodactylus lentus, endangered species, focuses on discovering new habitats, understanding their natural history and behavior, employing passive acoustic monitoring for non-invasive tracking. One thing I'm going to give a check to: proper English, well thought out. There's not fluff and stuff like John was talking about. This is good. It's well written, so that's good. Always submit grant proposals that have well written English. Figure out a way to get the well written English. In the past, I'd tell people, hey, if you need someone to translate it, translate it. Now we've got Google Translate, we've got AI. There's not too much reason to have poorly written English. This is good. All right, a comparative analysis is also conducted. I don't like passive. Scientists, you can tell someone's a scientist when they use lots of passive voice. It's like it is conducted versus active voices. I am going to conduct this, or we conducted this, or like I can't even tell, like, has it been done, is it being done, will it be done, because it's just like analysis is conducted. All right, studies conducted in specific locations, so I know where it's going on. The project is ongoing. I'd say has been ongoing. Various organizations involved, supported by a zoo. Hey, that's good to know. Hey, there's other people supporting the project. Okay, I'd still like a little more detail, like what exactly is going to happen. The project's focus is on discovering new habitat. So I'd like to, a comparative analysis is conducted. Maybe it comes down to the passive voice, just making it unclear what's going on, but I'd like straight up, like, in the other thing an executive summary needs is the statement, organization is requesting dollar value from Save the Frogs. Okay, whenever I submit a grant proposal, that's always right there, because that's like the bold print line. Like when I send a letter to the government and I say Save the Frogs supports legislation, California AB 2364 or whatever it's called, it's like that's the bold line. Save the Frogs is writing to support this legislation entitled this, so that if they don't read anything else, they know right there the important thing. So I'd always put in your executive summary, everybody out there, organization name is requesting dollar value from organization name to, and then just, you may not even need that, but why not say it, to conduct surveys and implement educational programs in place. Okay, and then it's like, that's like your executive sentence right there. That's summarizing everything. So I'll say, not 100% clear what's going on from here, but that's why we have plenty of other things. About you, all right, initiated as a master thesis in 2014, my work. So that's about your work, but the thing that says right there about you, so put it in the right person, I guess you could say.
Kerry?
Yes.
Can I just jump in here for a second?
Sure.
So, this is all great information, and it sounds like a fantastic project. The part of this that jumps out at me, and I wanted to get to this before Kerry gets far enough in here, is this is a travel grant. So while this is all good background information, Kerry's gone through half of the application, and he still hasn't gotten to the part where it's a travel grant and you're asking for the travel part. So I love the background. Again, I love the project. I think a lot of maybe the details of what were above were kind of, I hate to say it, but irrelevant to the application at hand, if that makes sense.
Can I ask you, should we have these things in a different order or arriving in a different order? I can't remember what's on the application, but how we have the Airtable set up, we can move the order around. But it's true what he said. Like the activity is $300 for a and is 300 to 356 from above or whatever. Now I'm seeing two different numbers. Okay, but the thing that's being asked for is funds to go to a conference, and the name of the conference was not given. And really, I thought when I was reading this executive summary, I was like, oh, there's going to be the project's focus is on discovering new habitats for E. lentis. I was assuming you were going to be out there in the field discovering new habitats for E. lentis, but really the project is the requested funds are to go to a conference, and the name of the conference is. So that's the stuff that should have gone in the executive summary, because no matter what, in the executive summary, we should know basically what's going on in the project. And I'll say that was not a check mark here because we didn't find out until later. And even if the order of these pieces are different from how you applied it, it's still like the executive summary is the place where we should know these things. Do you agree on that, John?
Yeah, sorry, Kerry. I should have put a spoiler alert notice in there. I should have let you just get to the point on your own, but
I'm just going through this. Like these things, I've just scanned these super fast.
Yeah,
and I created
so you were reviewing the proposal as written, and I guess my point was everything you've reviewed to date is not what is being requested from us. Yeah. So anyway.
I'm going through this like a real reviewer.
Yeah.
Like this is in the order. I don't remember what's on the application on the site. It's coming in the order that's coming in. But I know when I see an executive summary, like I should know what's going on.
Yeah. I'll let Kerry continue, and then if he doesn't get to my question at the end.
Thoughts without a net. I haven't planned this out. I haven't looked at this much other than last night when I created a blog post summary, and we'll get to that and we'll see what that says and how correctly the AI came out. I think it probably did a good job because AI is really good at not like write me a post about frogs. Okay, it's not going to do that good a job on that. That's not good enough for me to put on the site. But if I say here's a ton of information, which we have right here, clean this all up, fix it up, make it concise, write it in a nice summary, then it'll do a good job taking real info. Okay, about you. So master's experience. Like check mark for experience, like qualified person to do a project on amphibians, yes. Since awarded the Save the Frogs scholarship, I have not been as active as I anticipated, and I'll say I have not been as active as anticipated with scholarship recipients or the whole scholarship programs. It's like you applied, you get access to the academy, you can apply for grants. Aside from that, I haven't done much as far as like, hey, scholarship recipients, let's get online together. All right, should the travel grant be awarded, the allocation, I'd always just, general rule in life, just assume the best. So instead of even just should it be awarded, just assume it best. Assume that it will be. The allocation of funds will be used as follows. To attend the conference, $300. Okay, remaining portion of the grant will offset expenses for gas and tolls. Learn more about the conference. Okay, good, I like that. All right, volunteers expected, participants expected, context. All right, that's good. Also, everyone out there, I'll say the travel grants are kind of a lot different than the other grants. I won't go into why. Let's just keep going. Project team. All right, so who else works on the project for which the travel to the conference is about? That's fine. Location. So for the location, I probably, and maybe it's not clear in here, it's probably this, well, really, this is a travel grant. And we have this stuff in here because there's travel to conferences and then there's travel to project locations to implement stuff. So it's a little ambiguous what we meant. And when I first saw this, I was like, oh, the location's going to be Staten Island or wherever, Norfolk or wherever the conference is taking place. But this is fine. This is the project that's being discussed at the conference. All right, beneficiaries, species, tell us about the species. Beneficiaries, people. All right, who is the community? Sometimes this is more clear, like we're going to name of school. Field surveys.
This is where some of the parts were very tricky for me because it was a travel
Yeah.
grant, not versus. So
Maybe-
I wasn't sure on
yeah.
how to approach some of those questions. And maybe I
I
should have
got
reached
it.
out earlier. But
Nah,
Yeah.
that's what I say. Every year we do this, we learn a few more things. Like maybe there should be a I can have conditional fields like check the box. Is this conference travel grant or is this amphibian conservation work grant? And maybe then it'll give some different questions, or maybe I just need I don't know. So yeah, things won't always be as nice as you want them to be as an applicant, so you just do the best. But the info's here on both, as long as it's on both. You did put in both stuff. The conference is this, the project is this. All right, why do you want to be at the conference? Crucial platform for knowledge exchange and collaboration in our field. Correct. That's good. All right, educational events. Attend the conference. Educational materials, merchandise.
Kerry,
distribution. Yes.
while you're on that page, actually, if you could scroll up just
Yeah.
one section up, right there. So,
Okay.
the
Field surveys.
field survey section, yeah.
Yeah.
So this was, we're going to get to our comments. They're in a field further down, but this was my entire takeaway from this, because it's a travel grant application, is that second paragraph where it says presenting these discoveries at the conference. And that to me sounds like you're going to go up on stage and you're going to present. And if that's the case, fantastic. Make that very clear in your application. On the other hand, if you're just attending and you may be discussing it over lunch or during your snack break with other colleagues, that's okay too, but that needs to be clear. So we know you're going to this conference, you're presenting this information, and it may be even, it's probably too early, but even just a synopsis of the presentation you're going to give or something
Yeah.
like that.
And
So
this
for
is
a
why
travel
maybe-
grant, that second paragraph to me is the most important part of the entire request.
Because also right here, when you come down to educational events, I'm seeking support to attend the conference. That's true, you are attending, but if you're speaking, that says a lot more. And now when I see this, I'm like back to wait, is she speaking? So, and I know, or I think that on the travel grant, it says as a restriction, like if you're going, we're only going to give you the conference travel grant if you're actually speaking versus just attending. But yeah, that's why it would be good for us to have like check the box. I am speaking at the event, or my abstract has been approved. We probably should have a part here like paste your abstract right here, include proof of conference acceptance, and then it would be clear from the start. So yeah, I mean, I think that we need to rethink how we do the application forms to remove a lot of this, but
no, I check marked to all of the above because I am presenting and I've already submitted an abstract, so it's at the end of the month actually.
yeah, okay.
But these are all great things. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the feedback.
All right, collaborating organizations or the other groups involved, communications, Instagram, anything else you'd like us to know. More ways, that's fine. More ways that it helps. As you can tell, like this is about how long I'm going to spend on this. I can tell it's written out. You put some thought into it, you didn't have to answer this question, but you took the time to put in some extra information. It's fine. But at the same time, I'm not going to spend like 10 minutes assessing this little thing. It's not the most important thing to me. All right, budget details. I'm seeking support in the amount of 535. Conference fees 300. Remaining is gas, and that's a lot of gas. But let's see what's in the actual budget requirements: pre-awards, mailing address, final report, due date, funding status, advice for applicant, info needed. All right, reviewer comments are confidential. John, should I show these right now? I doubt there's anything like bad in there. Should I show them or keep that confidential? Let me just stop the share right there, and here's what I'll do. I'll say, okay, I'll put,
I am hearing all the conversation. It's very fruitful, good justification of various proposals. And thank you very much. With your permission, may I leave the meeting
you may
just now?
leave. Thanks for being
Thank you.
here. We'll have a
Thank
video
you.
of the hour that you weren't here for, which may be more relevant.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks
okay,
a lot.
bye. All right, I'm gonna reshare this. I'm gonna share this. I just got rid of reviewer names. All right, will she be presenting at the conference or just going as an attendee? If presenting, I support the funding as it's in 3 weeks. Time's of essence. If just attending, less enthusiastic. So that says right there, hey, it's super important. Make sure people know that you're presenting if you ever apply for conference funds. I prefer to fund people who are presenting the research. I like the project, but can't give this request more than a level 2. We should fund it if funds allow, but I see many other projects I would fund first, unless she's actually presenting her research. So, and when I read this, I'm like, what was she presenting? Do I remember? And it wasn't going to be important to me, but to this reviewer. And remember, it's not just me. It's not just one reviewer. The reviewer doesn't know what you're presenting. And is that a fault of the reviewer? Maybe the reviewer read through it too fast and didn't see it. But maybe you should have been more clear exactly what's being presented. So now you know what's going through the head of reviewers. The reviewers may be right, the reviewers may be wrong, but the reviewers make the decisions. So the less questions the reviewers have, the higher the chance that you have. All right, I think that's it right there. I'm going to stop that share. So now you have some idea of what goes through our heads. Now, I was just kind of like stating the facts. I wasn't giving too much. Maybe I was. I don't know. I haven't made my decision, but it's, there's a lot of stuff. Like what I can tell is it's a project about amphibians. The applicant has skills. The applicant has done stuff. It's a real conference going on. I haven't looked at the conference. And then it comes down to even less like for this kind of stuff. It's not even so much like it's not an amphibian conservation award. It's not of necessity to me that like this project's going to help the amphibians. More so as for travel grants, at least for conference travel grants, it's like I've gone to conferences. I've been a graduate student. I know that conferences cost money. I know the value of a conference if you go there and pay attention and show up at the talks and meet people. And so it's more like, is this going to be good for the researcher and the people in that research community, which, check. So that's all I'll say right now. We're not going to give you a decision until it's time to give you a decision. But now we have clarified some of those things. All right, good.
Just real quick, couple of points. Since everybody saw the reviewer comments there, we've been using a scale of 1 to 3 in case people are confused about what I give this a 1, I give this a 2. That's just our internal process. A 1 is yes, I think this should be funded. A 2 is I think it should be, it could be funded, but we need some more information. We need clarification on something. And a 3 would just be, I don't think this is a priority for us because. So, if people were confused seeing those numbers. And then really quick, just to address this particular proposal, it sounds like you've got funding from other places and you've got a lot. It's a great project. This was one that I would like to see if there is a need for additional funding, this is one I would like to see next year as a conservation grant proposal. And you could all, and I'm kind of laughing because you could almost submit the exact same proposal and then just change those few sections where you're asking for travel money to ask for money for equipment or money for whatever it is for the grant. So I think this goes back to what Kerry was saying about our application maybe needs to be streamlined a little bit. About 80% of that, I mean, it was great information. It sounds like a great project. About 80% of it was irrelevant to the request at hand. So that's maybe something we need to do at our end to fix that. But thank you for the application.
All right. And also, again, we have not put in any limits. Like, we don't say you're only allowed 300 words here. So that's part of the reason why, you know, I understand when someone's like, oh, I'm going to give them a bunch of info. They ask for the info. I'm going to give it to them. All right. Now, I'm kind of running out of steam. So my thought is, hey, let's just do it at the speed that I would possibly do these things. Because especially, like, it was different back in the day. If I'm the only grant reviewer on it, then it's like I got to read everything and make the decision myself. If I have other people helping out, I can kind of skim it and then look at their comments, and if time is of the essence, just make my decision based on that. So let's go ahead and look at Tom's, but I'm just going to do it fast. I'm just going to go through and just give, because that's what's actually probably happening with most organizations as far as like,
Kerry,
they're just, yeah.
Really quick, I think Pearl maybe had something she wanted to say.
Okay.
No, it's okay. I actually just typed it in, but thank you very much, because this was very informative, because I wasn't sure how to approach some of those sections. But now I know going forward. And I have applied for a few other grants, and most of them are very small, and sometimes they don't provide feedback. So at least I had the opportunity, and I hope it was helpful to everyone else to sort of see that firsthand, how you, Kerry, and everyone else goes through those grants. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Kerry, you're muted.
Right. I said, most of you will never get feedback from other organizations. If you're smart, though, when you get denied, and you will get denied, no problem. Everybody gets denied in grant applications. Okay, it's just part of the deal. You'll write them and say, you know, thanks for giving me the opportunity. It would be great if you could let me know why it was denied, or how I can improve future grant applications. And hopefully they'll write you something. It may be short. They may not, but that can be helpful. All right. So I'm going to open up Tom's. I'm going to go through it at the speed of a normal grant reviewer and just give you my thoughts fast. I'm not going to go into details. Part of this, it comes down to perception. Okay, part of it, like the person's in a hurry, the reviewer's in a hurry. They're just getting what comes to their mind first and then move on to the next thing. All right, let me share. Let me find this proposal, and then we will end. This has been long, but helpful. All right, so I'm going to go to Amphibian Conservation Awards and Thomas O'Deo. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Is this visible? Give me a thumbs up on Urata if you can see the screen. Okay, all right, 2024. Requesting $2,000. Nature Kenya is the organization, and organization info looks good to me. Established 1909. Hey, that's pretty cool. Been around a long time. I would expect a URL. A couple applications came in, at least a couple maybe, without an organization URL, and then like, if you're a real organization and I'm sending money to a foreign country, why don't you have a URL so that I can kind of tell that this is a real deal? All right, so I would normally click that, make sure, yep, real web page. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do it, because this is what I do. All right, looks real to me. Looks like stuff's going on, and at a minimum, boom, that serves its purpose. Yep, you got a URL. Project title: integrating local community, conserving the critically endangered Tidy Hills warty frog. All right, I like that title. And executive summary, the warty frog. Now, everyone out there, I know everyone does this differently, but there is a page. You can go to Save the Frogs site, and there's a search bar, and this is how I do it, okay? How to write a frog's name, and let's see what comes up. Hey, how to write an amphibian's name correctly. Okay, right there. Lessons. It's in Save the Frogs Academy in the 101 course. I encourage you to read it, especially because you're applying to Save the Frogs. You may as well write stuff how Save the Frogs likes it written. All right, critically endangered species. Where does it live? Species faces extinction. So this whole thing is about the frog. What about your project? Okay, here it is. 2 total paragraphs. The main project aim is to enhance conservation by improving quality and quantity of habitat. So I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a habitat restoration project. Here's how it's going to be done. And establish the population distribution. Okay, so it's habitat restoration and it's surveying and creating awareness. So now we've got 3 things. The more things you apply for, the trickier it all becomes, or the more thorough you have to be on each of these. All right, the community is expected to see the need. All right. First phase has been done. What was that phase? The data has been collected, analyzed. Second phase. All right, now I'm getting confused because it's like, which phase is happening here? So I'd make it more concise. Your executive summary, I just really want to know, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to ask for? A sentence or 2 about the frog is fine. The frog's critically endangered. That's like, check, it's an important frog. Why is it endangered? Maybe a sentence or 2 on that. But the rest should be, here's what's going to happen in this project. About you. All right, 4 years as an intern, and project has been sponsored. Well, the project is not you, so remember, it's about you. I want to know, who are you? Here, through the assistance, we have collected data. Now it's a we, but I want to know about you. All right, I'm pursuing postgraduate studies. Okay, that's good to know. 6-month leadership program. Research fellow at the National Museum of Kenya. That's the stuff I want to know. You're a research fellow at the National Museum of Kenya. You've been involved in Coalition Wild. You've been a master's student. You've been doing amphibian conservation for X number of years. That's stuff I want to know in the About You section. All right, Save the Frogs involvement. This has been through our members who've joined the virtual Save the Frogs online talks, the most recent talk being presented by Thomas O'Deo. So now I'm thinking, like, is someone else writing this application? And I kind of remember that maybe someone else did, but I'm expecting that if Thomas O'Deo is the name of the applicant, then this is going to be in first person. I gave a talk, and here's the talk. And it's up on YouTube. It's probably up on the Save the Frogs site, too. If it is, that would be a good place to put it. But hey, there it is. So good. I'd be even more clear, be explicit, like, I gave a talk. Yeah, I've been involved with Save the Frogs. I gave a talk at a Save the Frogs Africa meeting. That's what I would have put. Because the other reviewers may not even realize, like, oh, this applicant actually spoke at a Save the Frogs event. Proposed activities. The first activity for the team in the first 5 days. All right, I don't know if I need to know, like, the timeline right there, or why that's relevant. Recorded GPS of collected specimens to establish the type of habitat in that area. All right, so now we're going back to, well, let's see. Okay, we need to determine it with like GIS or something. The team will also conduct limited time searches, visual encounter surveys, establish the type of tree species, leaf litter. All right, now we're already on to the workshop. So this is the proposed activities. This is not a lot of info. That's very vague. Like, the team is going to use GPS to determine habitat types. That's like all I know about the GIS activity that's going on. And I'm assuming it's GIS. That it's not written GIS there. And then the team will also conduct surveys. And that's all I know. You're going to conduct surveys. So that would be like a perfect example of not enough detail. Okay? Because this, I think, is the part. Let's see what it says right here. we do have a maximum 400 words. Okay, but I don't think this is 400 words of info, so I would have used that whole 400 words to say exactly like, how are you going to do this? The second activity will involve, and instead of putting like bullet point, the first activity, bullet point, the second activity, what does that mean? It's, you've got 2 activities. How about visual assessment surveys or abundance surveys? That's the bullet point. That's the header. Okay, your header is surveys. Your second header is workshops. Now I can tell you're going to do surveys, you're going to do workshops. It's like on a web page, we've got headers so that the person scanning the page, they're not reading the whole page 90% of the people, but they're looking at the big headers and they can tell what's going on. Oh, this is the part where you talk about your surveys. So make it easy for us like that. All right. There's going to be workshops, outreach programs in schools, distribution of brochures and posters and t-shirts. So now, how does this relate back to where we started? At first, it was going to be habitat restoration was the first thing that was listed before. Now I don't see anything about habitat restoration. So there's not a lot of detail, and now there's a little confusion about what was going on before. I may be wrong. Maybe I didn't read this well enough, but I'm trying to go fast, so make it really clear. And there's so many different things. Like there's customized training workshop. I would have put in the last activity, look, right there. I'll help you out there. I'm going to go take it to a new paragraph. If there's 3 activities, make it 3 paragraphs. And have a header for each one would be better than just saying activity 1, activity 2, activity 3. What are those activities? All right, number of volunteers expected, number of participants expected, dates of the project. Now the end date is before the start date, so that's a little weird. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe that is meant to be 2025. The larger project sponsored by Mohammed bin Zayed. Okay, I like that. You got another. Now I would have said like sponsored with a $7,000 grant would be even more specific. All right, project team, who's involved? Good. So there's different people and some info about them. And it looks like they all have experience. Good. Check the box. Location, Taita Hills, Dawida. Hey, we got some GPS coordinates. Beneficiary, the species. All right, Boulangerula titana. All right, I would have put the number 1 species as the warty frogs. I would have started with that. And that, yes, you've said it elsewhere, but this question is all about that. So I'd make sure Taita Hills warty frog is there. And then there's other species too. That's good. The beneficiary will be the conservation group. Now, is that who's doing this project? It was Nature Kenya, so I'm not sure who they are, but that's fine. There's various people involved, and if I cared enough and had enough time, I could research who those people are. Field surveys. All right, so now we do have a place for this. Non-randomized plots wherein each forest block will be established. This will be combined with surveys 7 to 11, 2 community workshops. That's a different thing than field surveys. That's the educational event. All right, there's still, it's so little. Like when I think field survey, it's like, how long is your transect? Or is it a transect, or is it a square plot, or is it a circular plot? What's the area? Those are like critical. It's not just we're going to be out there from 7 to 11. Are you going to be sitting down on a rock and listening? Or are you going to be walking or what? So that's info that definitely should have been in there for anyone doing field surveys should be able to provide that info. Educational events. All right, it's planned to take place on the 28th. Maybe in future, look at this, Save the Frogs Day. Look what I've done. I'm going to make a video all about this. Look, I can go like that. And boom, my software has a little glitch right there, but I have a keyboard shortcut. If I type STFD, Save the Frogs Day comes out properly, written right there. All right, maybe in the future I'll say any Save the Frogs Day funding should go into a separate grant, but it's not. That's fine. An amphibian course will be there, but like who's going to take place, and it's just there's so little info. Let's see what I had right here for the, is there a field description? No. So there's no limit on what you could say you're going to do, but it's just like, you're just kind of trusting us to trust you that you're going to give a good educational event without saying, like, who's speaking, what are you talking about, who's going to be there, how long is it going to take place, what topics specifically are going to be covered, educational materials, an attached photo of a t-shirt. So yeah, posters. So good, we'll check those out in a second. Distribution of merchandise, brochures, posters, t-shirts. You'll design the materials. Collaborating organization, there's other groups. We will publish an article to the Nature NET magazine. URL would have been good there. Social media, that's fine. Anything else you'd like us to know? Plenty of stuff there. And that's fine. Budget details. So right there, $2,000. Like, how is it that your budget is precisely $2,000? Or is that just an estimate of, it's clearly just a guess, which is not ideal. All right, let's see. Reviewer, let's see what's going on here before I show these. I'll even randomize these comments. All right, let me just read some of these. All right, needs more information regarding survey methodology, more information regarding community engagement training and educational materials. Seems like a well-planned and useful project involving the local communities and farmers. Good, detailed proposal. Travel budget text does not match the numbers requested. Okay, there was a difference between, there were numbers stated. We haven't looked at the budget area yet, but there were conflicts, discrepancies. Pre-approval of t-shirts before printing. Classification 2+. That means almost top level, but not quite. And provide detailed survey methodologies. Conclusion. I really like the idea of combining a long-term conservation effort with field surveys and community education and engagement. However, $800 for t-shirts as well as $300 for 100 brochures seems like a lot. I'm going to agree with that. I have not looked at the budget yet, but right there, like $800 for t-shirts, huh? I would like to have Kerry review their survey methods to make sure they're sound. Well, there weren't that many survey methods there. I don't even know how I could review them. And I think we should consider whether the full amount of the request is justifiable. As currently proposed, I think it's deserving our funding. I'm just not sure at the full level of the request. All right, that was me reading what a reviewer had written. Now, let's... we're going to finish this up in like 2 minutes, so... Let me share my screen again, and we'll look at some of this graphic design here, maybe the budget. This is the stuff that we see. This is a budget. Slowly loading. I'll give it a second and see if it comes up. All right, then I'm going to skip that. I'm not sure why this blue mark is here. This is not our graphic design or anything related to this project, so this should not have been uploaded. All right, that, I mean, it's not the most beautiful graphic design I've ever seen, that's for certain. Maybe that's implying, like, I don't know. You could have put, like, if that's going to be on the t-shirt, I would have included it in the text. Our merchandise is going to say this and it's going to say that, but ideally it's not going to look like that. That's just white and black. It's not our colors. That's not professional graphic design. All right, so this is a CV. That's fine. All right, and that's how long I usually look at CVs. Okay, resumes. It's like, looks like you're a real person. You've done some stuff. It's well laid out. Check. Next. All right, we've got 3 CVs. I can just tell looking at them right now, like, it's fine, it's good. You got an actual resume, okay? I can already tell you're a real researcher. Team member photos. Okay, so there was not that much info. The graphic design, like, let's see if this opens up again, this budget, because now I do want to know, like, how much money is being requested for graphic design. And if you're requesting a lot for printing, like printing of shirts, $800 for shirts, not those shirts. I'm not going to pay $800. Look at this shirt. Okay, that's a cool looking shirt. Those shirts that I saw before are not, they're not getting $800 from Save the Frogs. So let's see what's happening here. Amphibian fact sheets, $300. Amphibian posters, $150. Public awareness campaign, which is t-shirts and other materials. So there, right there's $1,250. And I didn't see any graphic design. Like, what's on these posters? Now there is some info over here, but I want to see it. Like, what's on the poster? Even if it's not designed, what about the, tell me about the poster. What's on there? What's the precise text? You're asking for the money, you should have the text ready to go. Like, here's the text that's going to be on the poster. Here's the text of the fact sheet. It's not designed yet, but here's the text. I care more about the content than the visuals. I'm talking about the visuals. I like good visuals, but you're asking for $1,250 for printed materials. Like, I want to know those are going to be some good, really good printed materials. I also want to know, does it truly cost that much? And do you need that many of each of those things? All right, project equipment, a local guide at $90 for 6 days. That's fine. Accommodation and food for the 4 trips. I would have broken it down. There's accommodation and there's food, unless it's like a package or something, which is probably not. It's like pay for the hotel, pay for the food. So different lines for those. 3 team members, 7 days. 3 team members for 7 days. Number of units, 6. Is that going to be 3 times 7 times 6? 21 times 6. I'm not sure. So now I'd have to look at that, but make sure your numbers are right. Local transport, 3 team members, $90. It's local transport in the field for 7 days. From where to where? Why not give that info? That's real info, right? You got to get from point A to point B and back. So I would say that. Travel to and from study site. Now this is different than the local. Okay, local transport while you're there. I mean, even a little more clear. Like, is that like, I don't know, drive around the reserve, or what is that? Travel to and from. Okay, from Nairobi, Tata, 350. Okay, good. All right, so there was nothing about habitat restoration. So that was like the first thing it said. It was going to be a habitat restoration project, and it's not. Let's go back. Was that my imagination? The main project aim is to enhance the conservation by improving quality and quantity of its habitat through community participation, securing and increasing its habitat quality. Like, I don't know how you're going to improve habitat through community participation unless the volunteers are out there doing the habitat restoration. But twice right here, I'm really seeing habitat restoration, and that's not in the budget, and it's not spoken of lately. So I'm going to stop this screen share, and we're back. That's what's going through my head. So this project, does it have a lot of potential? Yes. Is it clear? No. And that's where it comes down to, like, does the reviewer have time? Do I have time to communicate with you, which most organizations are not going to do? It's like, it's either yes or no. The info was there, or it was not there. It checks the box of fundable, or it does not. Currently, it's not fundable because there's too many questions. There's a lot of potential. Then it comes down to, do I have time to go back and forth with you, and do I see the potential there that we can get this all fixed up so that it's good? Or do I just say, great ideas, not this year, next year, please make sure everything's clear, and please do apply again? That may be the answer. Or maybe we just pick out of the $2,000, like, what are the parts of it we like? And that's why I've said in previous discussions, don't put too many things in one proposal. Okay? Because now you've got to justify all those things. You got to justify the shirts. You got to justify the workshops. You got to justify the field surveys. You got to justify the habitat restoration. And now you've got lots of ways for it to not be a perfect proposal, as to just picking that one thing that you're going to do a great job at. We're going to hold workshops, and here's what's going to happen. Step for the workshop. And then it's easy to fund, and maybe it's just $600. But if you're going to apply, the more you apply for, more money you apply for, the higher the bar that you've got to cross to get the money. Because all those things that added up to the $2,000 have to be good. Otherwise, one of those things may not be, and maybe that kills the whole project. All right, I hope that was useful. Any of you who've applied, there'd be few applications where I'd just be like, check. That's so good, going down. I'd love to see that happen. But, for any of you, we can do this again if you guys want maybe a future maybe there should even be a question like, do you want a live review? I don't know, but we could do another of these things because I know it's useful. And I know that on these calls, I'm often like, I've got this kind of a little critical tone or something, but I'm just trying to give you the real feedback that is going to help you improve. All right. That's it.
Kerry, really
Awesome.
quick, just
Yes.
to add to what you were saying, it is entirely possible, in fact, encouraged to apply for different categories. So if you need a travel grant for something, and you need a conservation grant for a different thing, and you want to Save the Frogs Day event, you're going to hold it. Those can be 3 separate applications. But as Kerry was saying, if you try to combine all of that into one application, if any one part of that isn't sufficient, you risk getting all of it denied, or it makes our job more complicated. If you're applying for a Save the Frogs Day event as part of an amphibian conservation grant, it just really complicates the process. So I understand that having to apply 3 separate times and fill out 3 separate or 2 separate applications is time consuming, but the benefit is it outweighs that extra little bit of time to me, I think, because I can review a Save the Frogs Day grant and say, yes, that sounds like a great event. Oh, look, this same person applied for an amphibian conservation grant. I'm going to review that completely separately from the Save the Frogs Day.
And you can repeat, there's some info that can be repeated, like about you and organization info. It's just, you already wrote it up.
Yeah.
Reuse, repurpose.
There can be copy and paste
Yeah.
done. That's fine. But when you're, as Kerry mentioned, I think, as he was reviewing this, if you're applying for all of these separate things in one application, it makes it difficult to approve all of it.
Yeah, and
if
maybe
that makes sense.
Maybe John, at our next grants committee meeting, we should consider, like, hey, should we have different applications, or should we say you can apply for 2 or 3 amphibian conservation grants at once if the projects are different? Like, do we want people splitting up their project? Is that going to be more work? I'm not sure. I don't have all the answers for these things. I just know, like, if you apply for a bunch of different mini projects inside of one project, you better be good at making sure they're all good.
Yeah, I don't want to open that can of worms right here on the call,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
but if they're separate, I guess what I'm saying is this proposal I don't think had any kind of a travel grant component to it. But
well, a lot of that budget was for travel, so it could have gone. Now,
okay.
I understand
Right.
that. Yeah, and probably it's just part of this one grant, but
there definitely was a
grant.
Save the Frogs Day component to it.
Correct.
And that could have been a completely separate thing. It would have been decided before today.
I'm going to put it on the website right now in the amphibian conservation area. I'm going to say, don't apply for any Save the Frogs Day funding right here. If you're applying for Save the Frogs Day funding, that should be completely separate. That's just one sentence. That'll be easy to fix a lot of this problem. Let's call that good, because we're almost at 2 hours, and I didn't even know if I should hold this meeting at all, because I didn't know if I'd have anything to say. So obviously, plenty to say on this stuff. That's it. Thank you for helping Save the Frogs. Best of luck to you on your projects with whatever happens, and hopefully you'll be a better grant writer for having been here today. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.